Hello and welcome to tonight's exciting real estate review. We're going to go through some questions that are going to have, I don't know, real similarity to what you might be seeing when you actually take the state exam. My name is Rick Roller, and I'm here on behalf of the Institute of Real Estate Education, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about some concepts that are going to be very helpful to you should you be seeking a real estate license in the state of Utah. Or actually, a lot of these questions we're going through tonight have a national significance as well. So even if you're testing in another state, it's these aren't particularly Utah law oriented. They are more national oriented, and so they'd be helpful to you either way. And it's a great time to get into real estate. I know there's a whole lot of things that people are talking about, particularly with this new California ruling and all that kind of stuff. But there's nothing constant in our business and our industry except for change. Change is a constant. So you've got to be ready for that. And you've got to be in a situation where you can handle those changes. But tonight, running the technical background is the owner of our real estate school, the Institute of Real Estate Education, Mr. Dan Naylor. Thank you, Dan, for being here
Glad to
tonight.
be here.
And I'm glad to be here too. And as I said, I'm Rick Roller, longtime agent. Oh gosh, I mean, it's been over 45 years. I started teaching real estate classes in 1980 after I'd been in a business for a couple of years. And, the reason I did it was real simple. I mean, a person I was working with asked me a question, and it was something I knew I'd learned in real estate school, but I'd forgotten. So I didn't know what it was. So I figured, well, if you really want to own this information, the best thing to do would be to teach it. So if you have a desire to teach these types of things, if you have the ability to teach, if you can explain things and crack a few jokes and keep people awake, come talk to us at the school. We're always looking for new good instructors. Um, there's some jumps you have to go through in order to do that. You have to get a license as an instructor in the state of Utah. Yeah, but we're also licensed in other states as well. So, call the Institute of Real Estate Education, talk to Dan, and see if there could be a place for you sometime in the future. Let's get into tonight's material. Let's start with question number one, and let's start going for it. All right. So, our first question tonight is about a lease. And it says, a lease is which of the following? Is it personal property, real property, an easement, or is it permanent? Okay. Well, what you're going to do when you're looking at a multiple choice question is you don't have to really know the answer. You have to be able to recognize it. You have to be able to pick it out of a lineup of four. And one of the best ways to do that is to eliminate the obviously wrong ones. Okay. And so let's start from the bottom, go back up. Are leases permanent, or do they have like durations of time? You go for this or that, 4-year lease, 5-year lease, 10-year lease, 25-year lease. Um, they're not permanent. They have to have a definite starting and a definite duration or ending date. So we can eliminate D. All right. Is it an easement? An easement is a right usually to go across someone else's property, usually for ingress and egress, but it could be for other things as well. But that doesn't define a lease. When a person comes to you and they want a lease, they want possession of a property. Not necessarily the right to go across it back and forth. That'd be a whole different thing. If they're coming for an easement, it's a whole different discussion than if they're coming to lease your warehouse and put their business in there. So now we're at two. It's either real or it's personal. Okay. So out of those two, if you're leaning towards personal property, good for you. You're a winner. You're a winner in our book because that is the right answer, personal property. A lease is personal property. And there are obligations from the landlord and there's obligations from the tenant as well. But the correct answer is answer A, personal property. Go ahead. Thank you for highlighting that one, Dan. And let's go to number two.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the video. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of them. And if you want even more review material, we have in the Prep My Exam link in the comments, we've got a plethora of practice exams, we have audiobooks, we have an exam simulator, we have everything that our students use to pass the exam on their first try. Okay, and if you want to get licensed in Utah, check out realestateonlinelearning.com and we'll hook you up.
Okay, here's a property has a large lake on one side and a small stream running into the lake forms on the other side of the property. So what is true? Well, these answers are a little longer than our other one, aren't they? So let's take a look here and see where we're at. Okay, letter A. The lakefront is governed by riparian and the stream is governed by littoral rights. Okay, now a lot of the passing the real estate exam is knowing a lot of these obscure terms that you just don't use in normal language with someone, unless you're hanging out with a lot of real estate appraisers and instructors and agents. But you need to know really the definition of riparian and the definition of littoral. But but A is not right. Okay, A is not the correct answer. So let's go down and look at B. The lake and stream together are governed by littoral rights. Well, one is governed by one right and one is governed by the other. Okay, so that's not true. Look at C. A lake and stream together are governed by riparian rights. Now, see how B and C are similar, but they just changed that one word. But once again, you need to know what littoral and you need to know what riparian rights mean. Well, the answer is D. The lake is governed by littoral rights and the stream is governed by riparian rights. Now, littoral rights are rights that are pretty much on stagnant water. I mean, when you look at a lake, it's not necessarily flowing, but a stream is flowing. So riparian are flowing and littoral are more fixed. So if you could just remember that, you'll get through either one of these two terms, and which you'll see both of them on the national test. So knowing the vocab is real important, and there's a lot of things helps you can get to learn that. And I've actually got a Quizlet program which lets you use flashcards to learn some of these definitions. If you'd like to get one of those, just get a hold of school or get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to send them to you free of charge. Okay. Number three. D is the correct answer. Number three, when an easement transfers with the purchase of a property, it is known as, okay, an easement is transfer. Is it a trade fixture? A trade fixture is it's like an X-ray machine. If you go into a doctor's or a dentist office and, it's bracketed against the wall on a swing arm and it pulls out and they stick it over here. And that X-ray machine is bolted to the wall. And hopefully the chair that you're in that they lean you back on and stuff, hopefully that's bolted to the floor so you don't, it doesn't fall over. Um, but that's a trade fixture. A trade fixture is something that is used in a trade or business in a commercial application where it does not become part of the real estate. That if your doc moves out into a new building, or hopefully he buys a building that you found for him and sold it to him, then he's going to take his X-ray machine with him. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe got a good deal, got it for 50, I don't know, but they're not cheap. It's not an appurtenance. Okay. An appurtenance is something that goes with it. And it's not an implement. Implement are annual crops. Is it a monument? No, it's an appurtenance. That's right. Now, when I passed over that one, a couple of you say, wait. Well, you're right. I should have waited. But an appurtenance means it kind of goes with it. So when the key word in is it's transferring. It's transferring with the purchase of the property. So it's an appurtenance. It goes with that particular agreement. All right, let's look at number 4. We're talking about implements, and I just described that a moment ago. An implement is attached like a fence, or it's an easement like for an access road, or it's real property, or it's personal property like crops and plants. I already told you it's annual crops, so this one's going to be pretty easy. If I was only there to whisper in your ear, you get them all right. All right, D, personal property such as plants or crops. You don't need them all right. You only need about it, depending on which test you're taking, whether it's sales or brokerage, to become a broker, 70, 80% is all. Yeah, you could miss 20% and still pass. Okay. Now I want you to get a 95. And I certainly don't want you to screw up our stats or on passing rates here at the school. So, we've got all this free help. You can call on the phone, you can do all kinds of things, but not during the test. That'd be helpful, but you get us both in trouble. All right, let's go to number 5, please. All right, number 5 says an encumbrance on a property that affects how a property is used would be what? An easement, a license, a partition, or a remainder? Well, when you're talking about usage, and we've been really discussing that since the get-go on a lot of these different questions here tonight, like ingress and egress or passing over or the right to ingress and egress, well, then you probably be leaning towards the right answer, number 5, which is an easement. It's first answer. Because an easement affects how you use a property. An easement allows access. An easement could be for view. An easement could be for several different types of things, but it's something that definitely affects how the property is used. A license agreement, license agreement is temporary, and it does affect a little bit, what you might be able to do with something or not, but it's not necessarily an encumbrance. Okay, a partition is where you're had a larger parcel and you're dividing it into smaller pieces. And that process of going through planning and zoning and all the other regulatory agencies you have to go through in order to get a subdivision approved, and then you have to put the improvements in because they don't want to do it, and they're going to really monitor those improvements that were put in because if they wanted 6 inches of asphalt and you only put in 3, they're going to make you come back in there and redo those streets because they don't want those streets crumbling, and they have to take care of them after you gave them to them, and with your plat map and the transfer of those streets. And you didn't want streets anyway. You just wanted the lots to build on and sell. So it's not that, and it's not remainder. Like remainder man. That's like a life estate is probably where you're going to see that term. Number 6, please. Okay, number 6 is a question that says property A has an easement over property B, which allows them access to the waterway, which is true. Wow, property by a waterway. Could be a lake, could be a stream, maybe a river, but boy, it would really be cool to have access to that waterway so that you can, it's particularly if it's a lake, so you can roll your little sailboat down there and take it for a spin. But property has an easement over property B. So B is the tenement appurtenant, A is the tenement appurtenant, B is the dominant tenement, and A is the dominant tenement. Now, appurtenant and dominant, okay? Well, dominant's got to be the one's benefiting, right? I mean, you have it your way, all right, because you're dominant. So probably we're looking at maybe C or D, right? Could eliminate those first 2. So let me see. Property B is dominant. B is the one that people can drive over his to get the other one. Ooh, so you're servient. Look at D. D is the correct answer. Property A is the dominant tenement. Now, I know it's easier when I'm sitting here trying to explain them to you. And we're going through all the definitions and everything else. But I'm here to tell you, if you'll just use the study aids that we have and you'll put in the time and learning these words and a definition of these words, you're going to be just fine. You can do this. You can get the license. And not only can you get the license, but it is a great time to get into real estate, even with all this California lawsuit stuff and all the other things. Like I said at the beginning, the real estate is in constant motion and change. You just got to roll with it and adapt your business to what it works. Now, here in Utah, if you're looking for a Utah license, we've been doing buyer's agreements for years and years and years. There are many states in the United States that have never used buyer's agreements, and that is one of the big things that we have to implement with this settlement is that all states are going to have some sort of a buyer's listing, which we've had here in our state for many years, and many other states have as well, but some don't. So they're going to have to comply with that. Number 7, please. Here we go. In what circumstance might an owner be granted an easement by prescription? Okay, the neighboring property. Let's look at A. The neighboring property owner gives them permission to pluck fruit from their trees 5 years in a row. Now, if someone's giving you permission to do something, and in particular if they're renewing it on an annual basis, that doesn't give you any prescription rights. Easement by prescription is where you don't have permission, but you've been doing it anyway. Maybe even carved a little road in to get down to the lake across this property. Nobody really cared because nobody was that concerned about it. Because there was just plenty of ground, but as we have developed and more people have moved in, you've seen areas that used to be just like alfalfa fields that have turned into beautiful subdivisions with wonderful houses on it. And that's what happens. So as development occurs in an area and more people move into that area, people get really persnickety about exactly where these boundaries are and what easements are in effect and what easements are not in effect. But look at C, the owner sells a property to a new owner. A tenant remains in property without paying rent. Those are two different issues. Guys, the correct answer to number 7 is B, as in boy. The driveway pavement encroaches on a neighbor's property, but it goes uncontested for a certain period of time. And that time will vary from year to year depending on what you're what state you're in, but it takes a while to get there. It's no 3 or 4 or 5 year thing. It takes much longer than that. Look at number 8, please. We've got another question on this too. If multiple lien holders have liens against the same property, how are they prioritized? Alphabetically. Mortgage, the mechanics liens, then relatives. Okay. By the amount of money owed. Oh, okay. Ooh, D is the correct answer. By the order in which they are recorded in the public record. Every county in whatever state you're living in, or if it's a state that doesn't even call them counties, it's still the same. D is the correct answer here because first to record is first in right. How do we know a first mortgage is a first mortgage and a second mortgage is a second mortgage? Well, we look at the dates that they were recorded in the public record. And the first to record is first and right. Second to record is second and right. So that's a concept you most definitely will see again and again and again. And it's good in practice too. Let's look at number 9, please. Looking at number 9, we've got a property owner takes out a mortgage on their property. Most people do. Okay, after several years, they fall on hard times and fail to make the payments. Ouch, ouch. The lender forecloses on the property, but the owner has an opportunity to reclaim full ownership rights to the property by paying all the monies owed during a period known as mortgage relief, deed reversal, escheat, or equity of redemption period. Well, it's not escheat. See, you see, C, escheat. See the S in there, E-S, and then it says cheat. Well, the S stands for the state. And if someone dies intestate, meaning they died without a will and no heirs could be found, well, ownerless property doesn't benefit anyone. So after a period of time, the state can actually come in and escheat that property into state ownership. Doesn't happen too often, particularly doesn't happen too often in our state because of our property tax laws, which it probably went in for a tax sale before it got to the escheat period. So, but stranger things have happened. You never know what's going to happen. But on number 9, the answer is the equity of redemption period. It's equitable redemption. It's not escheat. It's not the deed reversal period. There is no deed reversal period, and it's not mortgage relief period. Okay, guys, it's the equitable right of redemption, which gives the equity of redemption period, whichever way you want to call it, in whichever state you happen to be in. Okay, there is a period of time that you can go back. Now, it's weird in our state, I admit, and I've been trying to find a legislator who will help get the law changed, but so far nobody's interested. Because we let you slide on our property taxes for not 1, not 2, not 3. We let you slide for 4 years on property taxes before it goes up for a tax sale. Most sales sell it. If you didn't pay last year's taxes, they're selling it this year. Okay. Why? Because they want the money. I mean, in Utah, we let people slide. There's some large property owners that don't pay their taxes until the third or fourth year because it's cheaper to pay the penalty than it is to pay to borrow money for your cash flow. So I don't know. We need to fix that. Actually, Utah could become a destination for people that wanted to come to Utah property tax sales, because they can be extremely lucrative investments. On the one hand, if you are the highest bidder on the tax sale, um, and they don't redeem, you get the property. Well, if you're only paying the taxes, even if they're 4 years worth, okay, that's still got to be a lot less than what the property's worth because the taxes are supposed to be based on a value of the property. The higher the higher the property tax. So if you can buy it here for the tax, it's got to be worth something like that up here, or you have to do your own research, but still, we can change our laws a little bit. We'd have people flying into Utah every year just to come to our tax sales, which might be a good thing. Well, number 10. So if we have any legislators that are watching this tonight, why don't you take up the flag on that? Get a hold of me. We can work on it together. 10, laws that restrict the way private ownerships use your properties. Laws that restrict the way private owners use their properties. Is it assessments, zoning, restricted to commercial real estate, limited to federal, not state laws? Well, D is wrong. I mean, come on. We have federal laws that affect things, certainly in real estate, but we also have state laws. I mean, you have both. Would it be restricted only to commercial? Your gut would probably say, that's probably not a very good answer. So now we're down to A or B. You have a 50-50 chance. Could it be an assessment, which is kind of like, an additional tax or something? Or would it be zoning? Zoning tells you what you can do with things. Zoning says, oh no, you can't build a fourplex. This isn't zoned for multifamily. It's only zoned for single family. So the correct answer, guys, the number 10 is zoning. Zoning severely affects the use. And if you're buying vacant property and you figure, well, I'll just get it rezoned, it may be impossible to get it rezoned. You may think rezoning is easy to do, but I'm telling you right now, it's not. And I sold one of my sons, who's a chiropractic physician, a little building on a major street, and he's been remodeling and doing some things with it. But he doesn't have final approval to move his chiropractic clinic into that building. So he's been renting the basement to residential tenants and whatnot. But it's a process. And gosh, he's been at it now for 2 years. Now he's not, not a house on fire trying to get it done, but he is, moving along at a steady pace. But it could take a while. And if you're planning on using that for a specific purpose, having something that's already zoned could make a tremendous difference in your timeframes. On the other hand, if you can get it for cheaper prices because it has a lower usage zoning, and then you get it approved for more density on the zoning, you can make a fortune with 2 or 3 of those deals, and you're set for life. Look at number 11, please. You can change your life with this business. You're not looking for a job. You're looking for an opportunity here. Okay, if a property conforms with zoning laws when it's built, and after many years, zoning laws change so the property no longer conforms, what is it? What is it? Is it a buffer zone? Is it a relic? Okay. Pre-existing non-conforming use. Ooh, that sounds pretty good. I kind of like that one. Okay. Or what about a gross lease? Okay, well, leases are gross. Well, no, yeah, they're either gross or net. A net lease, the landlord proceeds or the money he gets is net. Gross, he's got to pay a lot of expenses out of it. So it's not that one. It's C, pre-existing non-conforming use. I mean, that if you read the question a couple of times. Now, I would suggest you read every question at least twice before you glance down at the offers. If a property conforms to zoning laws when it's built, but after years and years it changes, ooh, that's a pre-existing non-conforming use. Okay. Some of these questions can be answered in just seconds. I know that it is a time exam, but you have plenty of time to take the exam if you're really familiar with the terms. Now, sometimes you'll be going down through the exam and you'll come up with a subsequent question which answered a previous question. So you might want to scroll back a little bit and say, oh, yeah, oh, I did get that right. Okay, shoo, and then jump back to it again. Or you could just mark it for review. I mean, the software for the test is really good, so it lets you mark things for review, so it brings them all back. If you skip a question because I haven't a clue, uh, I'll come back to that. It'll bring them all back to you, the ones you did not answer. It's some pretty strong software. So they give you time to play with the software before your test time actually starts. So you can play with the software for 10 or 15, 20 minutes if you wanted to. It probably won't take you that long to get familiar with it, but take as long as you need to get familiar with it and then start the clock on the test. Okay. So you're not, that's not holding you up. All right. We're here to look at number 12 now. Okay. Are you excited yet? I hope this is helping a little bit because we have a lot of videos just like this, which go through these test questions. And I think after you put in your, almost all your hours and you're getting ready to actually put in those last few hours, a lot of it could be spent on these reviews, which, there's no better way to prepare for multiple choice tests than taking multiple choice tests, particularly if it's on the same topic. So would highly recommend you do that. Number 12, when a local municipality takes ownership of a piece of property from a private citizen through the power of eminent domain. Okay, it's called what? Escheat, where you died in testate? Well, you probably don't care about that because you're dead. All right, zoning, an assessment, or condemnation. Ooh, tie the two words, eminent domain and condemnation, together. Now, when you see condemnation, if you haven't been a real estate student, you're probably thinking, well, there's a skull and crossbones sign on the front door, and it says, "Do not enter." Smallpox virus detected, or we've been having a kind of a little bit of an upturn on COVID here in Utah in the last few months. It's coming back, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But so that's what a lot of people think. Oh, that property was condemned. Well, that could be that, but more often than that, it's going to be tied to eminent domain. Eminent domain is a government right to take private property for the public good. I mean, we see it a lot here in Utah because we're expanding our streets. Redwood Road, which is a major thoroughfare, we keep adding more lanes to it. So as we add more lanes, we have to take property away from property owners that are right on Redwood. And some of them, we've taken so much of the property that, they make us take the whole house because there's not much left. And so look at D because D is the correct answer. Condemnation. Thank you, Dan. Number 13. Deed restrictions are. What is a deed restriction? Something in a deed that restricts something, okay? Does it restrict private legal actions against neighboring properties? Well, that's pretty hard to do. I mean, you don't know what neighbors are going to do and what reasons someone might have for suing or not suing. But, I don't think a deed could stop someone from suing. Could they? Probably not, guys. Let's look at B, used to enforce demographic restrictions like numbers of people and this and that. And not so much in a deed. That's more of in a zoning type thing or what you can do with your property. C, used to limit private use of property. Okay, I like that one. But renegotiated at every closing. No. That's why we bought it, because it had the ability to use it for what we wanted, and so it's the answer to this one is C. It's used to limit private use of property. Okay. Years and years ago, that's C. We had a lot of development in what we call the upper avenues here in Salt Lake City. I mean, Salt Lake City is kind of a hilly area in certain areas, and so the downtown is down here, and then it kind of goes up on some hills, around the Great Salt Lake and whatnot. And so people started realizing that, wow, it's really cool to have a house up on that hill and have the view of the whole valley. It's wonderful. Okay, so they would buy a lot like right here and across the street from the lot because the topography actually went down a little bit. they would buy that lot too because that way they could have all this view over that lot, view the whole valley. Well, back when lots were 30 or $40,000, well, maybe that wasn't that big a deal, but now they're, $240,000 in some of the nicer areas. So uh, they start looking at that lot and they say, hey, that could be a whole semester at Harvard for my kid. Maybe I ought to sell that lot. And we'll put a deed restriction that said they can't build any higher than this. We'll still maintain most of the view, but we won't let them put a swamp cooler on the roof, and it can't be any higher than this, and so we'll put a deed restriction. So we still have a view, kind of, but we also get the 150 grand or whatever it is for the lot that we could use for other purposes. So deed restrictions are used to limit private use of property. And with that example, I hope you'll remember that. Number 14. Number 14 says that a survey says that the property is 100 feet wide, but the broker paces it off by himself, being very accurate and careful with those steps, okay, and estimates that it can't be more than 90 feet wide. Wow. If you can do that with you just pacing it off and come within 10 feet, you're really a talented individual. So what should he put in the advertisements for the property? What the survey says, 100 feet? I like that one. I mean, these people are licensed engineers and surveyors, so they pretty much know what they're doing. I would go rather than my step off. Okay, 90 feet wide, no. 90 feet wide to be confirmed by the buyer, no. 90 feet wide verified, no. It's 100 feet. That's what the survey says. That's what we're going to say. Hopefully it's accurate. I've never seen too many that aren't accurate. Occasionally you could find things with mistakes on it, but the answer to this one, guys, is A. One of the problems people have is many people have some experience and maybe a lot of experience in real estate. And you try to take that practical experience with you into the exam. And you say, well, I know a situation where it went like this or it went like that. I need more information. They don't give you enough information they give you plenty of information to answer the question. But if you start trying to relate it to all your practical experience you already have, you're going to be disappointed, because you'll probably pass anyway because you're smart and you have a lot of experience, and that would be great. What isn't great is they don't tell you what your score is. So you say, well, so what did I get? Did I get 100 or did I get a 95? What did I get? No, you just passed. Now, if you flunk, they tell you got a 69. If you were just a little bit better, you would have passed, but you didn't. Well, that's just the way it is. So all you hyperachievers, if you want to know what you got on your score, they're not going to tell you. So just be prepared for disappointment. But just be happy you passed, okay? And now come back to us and start learning some of the things you really need to know to make a living in real estate. Let's go to number 15, please. Okay, 15. The edge of a property that is adjacent to the street is called the setback front foot circumference, or deed. It's not called the deed. It's not called a setback. Setback is from the property line. How close can you get to the property line, whether it's back or side or front yard? There are setbacks that are in the zoning codes. Well, you can't get any closer than 20 feet in the front. Okay. Well, so it's not setback. Front foot. Well, he's pausing. That's because that's the right answer. Front foot. It's the amount of footage in the front of the lot. Okay. Circumference? No. A deed? No. Okay. Boy, I wish they were all that easy. Okay. But you got to know what a front foot is. And I'm sure that's not something you used a whole lot in your previous life. So, what's the front foot on your house? I mean, yeah, okay. All right, wasn't that fun? All right, let's go look at another one. Number 16. Here we go. Hope you're having fun. Number 16 said homeowners' property taxes have increased. Okay. Values go up. Property taxes are supposed to be according to value. Okay, so as your value increases, so will your taxes. After reviewing this year's assessment and comparing it to last year's assessment, they find that their property has been assessed at a higher value than the year over last. And of course, they're going to say, well, that's because values went up. What would the best way to show the municipality that their assessment should be lowered? Okay, let's think this through. A, show them that the current mortgage balance is less. What do they care about the mortgage? They don't. They don't give a darn about your mortgage or what it is or what it isn't. Okay. Now you think of mortgages. Well, they never make mortgages for more than what the property's worth. Sure, they do. I mean, the property values can go up or down. Maybe that mortgage has been on there a long time. Property values have dropped. There's lots of different kinds of loans, folks. Some loans will let you put the cost involved with getting the loan on top of the loan. And, there's family loans, where, Uncle Bob, says, well, sure, how much do you need, kid? What do you got to secure it? I don't know if that house is worth that much, kid, but heck, you're not going to cheat me. So I'll go ahead and give you the money, but we will put a lien on your house. Okay. Okay, prove that similar properties in this municipality have lower assessments. That, hey, man, hang on to that one. That was warm and fuzzy. C, show no improvements have been made since the last assessment. They don't have to be improvements. Value could go up even if you haven't improved it, even if you haven't even taken care of it. Well, look, it's got peeling paint. It's not worth anything. Okay, not according to the city or the county. Prove that similar properties are not selling in the current economic crisis. Has no, even if the market is slow or whatever, it's number 16, guys. The answer has got to be the one that was warm and fuzzy. Prove that similar properties have received lower assessments. And the best way to have that or to do that is to have copies of those appraisals. And I with one of my agent friends, we sat down one time. We were brainstorming different sources of business, and in our state, you can only challenge your assessment once a year, and they usually come out, in early summer, sometime when everyone's going on vacation, so no one pays any attention, and then you have like 2 weeks or so to claim a date or to schedule a date to come in and challenge it. If you miss it, well, then okay, you do it next year. Okay, which you'll forget again because it's vacation time. But anyway, should you get in front of them, the very best thing to have would be lower assessments. The problem is that homeowners don't have access to appraisals, or they don't have access to broker CMAs, competitive market analysis. So my real estate friend and I decided, well, maybe there's a market here. So we got some through our friends at the title company, we got lists of people in swanky neighborhoods that we were interested in getting listings in. Sent out about 500 letters saying that we would help them challenge their property taxes. We only charged $50 to do that. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a moneymaker for us, but we had about 125 people that wanted to do that. And the first year we did it, we lost every case. But we took almost 3 weeks of the Board of Adjustment's time going through each particular one. They said, no, we don't, they just wouldn't budge. The next year we applied, we did fewer. We did about 85. They approved every one because they didn't want us coming in and taking 2 weeks of their time. So I don't know. Eventually we did get quite a bit of business out of it. But, there are so many different things you can do. This could be a real job, but you got to show up and do the real job. Okay. But that became, a fairly reciprocal. Look, if the average sale in your market is around $600,000, okay, and commissions are normally around maybe 3%, half for listing it and half for selling it, okay? Well, 3% of $600,000 is $18,000. Now, whatever your split is between you and your broker, I don't know. Some brokers charge a lot. Some brokers don't charge hardly anything. But let's say 12,000 of that 18 was yours, or maybe 15 of the 18 was yours, whatever, okay? If you could pick up 3 or 4 more deals, at 15 grand, guys, that's another $60,000 in income. This is a business that could literally change your life, but you got to show up and you got to do the job. You got to do the job. Let's look at number 17. And part of showing up is getting a license, and that's what we're working on tonight. Property tax amounts for individual properties are determined by A or an broker's opinion. Okay. Appraisal, assessment, Are they tax appraisers or tax assessors? They're assessors. A competitive market analysis. That's what we use as a broker, a lot of us, in order to help people in pricing. Well, the correct answer to this one obviously is C. It's an assessment. It's a tax assessment. Well, those are the questions I wanted to go over tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. You're welcome to call. I mean, you can call the school, you can call me. My direct phone, if you'd like to have it, is 801-556-8000. That's 801-556-8000. Operators are standing by. That's my cell phone. I answer it. If I don't answer, it's because, well, I'm not available. But if I do answer it, I'm available. Well, leave a message. I'll get back to you. It's particularly if it's a problem about, just a quick thing. I mean, if you are struggling with something and it's after closing hours, okay, 8 o'clock at night, and you're struggling and you get this concept, you don't get the concept. I mean, try me. Hey, you don't know. If I pick up the phone, we'll spend a quality 4 minutes on the phone. You'll understand the concept. Okay. That's just something we offer at our school. We have the highest passing rate of any school in the state. We're proud of it, and we don't want you to mess it up. So call if you need the help. We've got a lot of tools and a lot of things that can help you get through the test. It is a multiple choice test. The right answer will be in front of you. You don't have to know it, just recognize it. You can do this. And once you get the license, welcome to the business. You can do that too. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Rick Roller. Thank you very much, Dan. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. If you want to show some appreciation to our instructors, be sure to like and subscribe so that they see how much you enjoyed it. And if you want any additional review material, check the links below for our full suite of practice materials for the real estate license exam. Thank you.